I remember being at university at the same time, and I was refereeing and doing my sports science degree. And I remember coming off a game and a manager gave me absolute abuse. Like, it was horrendous in terms of he thought I was the worst referee he'd ever seen. And to be honest, I probably didn't have a great game. Everybody has them, you know, when you come off and you look back and you think, you know, I've gone yellow there and it probably was red. I remember getting into the car and just thinking, oh my God, I must be the worst referee ever. You know, and sometimes that's a bit of pressure from myself and a lot of pressure from that manager. You know, don't get me wrong, he was in a high pressure situation. You know, he felt like my decisions had cost him the game. I remember getting home thinking, that's it. I don't want to referee. I'm not good enough to referee. I mean, we've got a really good support network in refereeing. My dad was there, he's a former referee. You know, you talk to your friends and they kind of pick you up again. And you need to kind of like be put back together, as I say, you know, and then you analyse it, like I say, and you look through the game and you think, well, actually, no, I did get that penalty shout right, and it was only a yellow card, not a red. And you kind of start to think, well, actually, it wasn't that bad. And then you kind of pick yourself up and you go again. I suppose it's like falling off a bike, isn't it? You're going to fall off your bike when you're learning to ride. And that's the way I always kind of look at it. You know, you might have a few scrapes on your knees, but you get back up and you go again. And that's probably gives you the strength of character to be able to be a good referee. You have to learn from your mistakes. And I think that really gave me that drive to carry on, you know, to be a better referee the next week. I think that we've just got to keep challenging it. And I think that abuse is, you know, nobody thinks it's right. I think that we shouldn't be, people shouldn't hide behind names and things like that are not real. I think people should be like accountable for social media posts and things like that, because, you know, people think that they can hide behind a screen and say things, and for me that's not right. And I think that then if they're questioned on it, they wouldn't say it, and maybe they'd be changing their opinions. I think sometimes people are too quick to say things, and I think that, yeah, they should think before they speak, and if they don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. That's what my parents always told me when I was little. I always say that fans look at things with rose-tinted glasses. If there's a 50-50 tackle goes in, it's definitely their foul. And to be honest, if I was in the crowd, that should be my way too, you know, for whichever team I'd support on the day. As long as they're not abusive to the person that I am, you know, I think that for me is the line to cross. Like, you don't cross that line into being abusive to that person. I think that's not right.
What are saying specific things about?
You know, like, or you've got ginger hair, or you're a woman, or, you know, you've got glasses. You know, when it's specific about that person, for me, that's not right, about their character. Or, you know, if you say that I'm not very good at my job, yeah, you know, or you say I missed a throw-in, yeah, I can deal with that, because that could be any person missing that throw-in. But, you know, I think when you start saying it's because of this or it's because of that, then that's where the line draws, really. It's important that people understand that we're humans behind that, you know, that shall, as such as a referee shall. I think, but the more we kind of like do these interviews, the more we come out and speak to people, and the more people, you know, like I do quite a lot of community work, so I think it's important that children grow up in that generation that abuse is not okay. So I think, you know, the more we do that kind of work, more people will see us as people. I wouldn't really say it was a situation. I think that's the way I kind of deal with it, in terms of, at the time I didn't even really think anything of it. You know, I was given a throw-in or something and he'd said something to me, and I was too busy, to be honest, talking to the referee. And, you know, I'm kind of saying blue throw or whatever, and I'm so busy focused in on that, I don't even really think anything of it. If there's a situation where a player has pulled me, or I felt like they acted in an intimidatory way or anything like that, you know, the laws of the game protect us against that. So I would have straight away called the referee and said, you know, Cav, you know, yellow card or red card, depending on what had happened.
Some people thought it was a bit condescending, maybe.
Yeah, I think people can view it in a different way, and each to their own opinion, really. You know, you can look at a situation from one angle or another. I suppose just me being there on that situation, I didn't really think about it twice. If we have more diversity, then it doesn't look like anything different. The more girls that we have out there, the more, you know, it becomes a norm, and then it's not challenged. So that's the only way we can kind of do it, really. It's by changing stereotypes. It's by having them role models there. You know, we've got BB in Germany, Stephanie in France. You know, we've got all these girls out there. We've got girls coming through in England. and I think that the more females we have, the more that changes that gender stereotype really, and that culture. I never kind of look at myself as an inspiration to others. I kind of just do my job. But I do kind of think that, taking back on the sentence that I've just said, I just think that it is important that we do have role models just to be able to see that it is achievable. So, if people look at me like that, I can only go, that's great. So if we have another 5 female referees because they've seen me on the telly, then, that's great news really. I think that 90% of that would always be based on decisions that are probably wrong. So I think every week it'd be, how did you miss that penalty? And the referee would be like, well, because, I thought this happened, or I thought this happened. And I think you'd get a bit bored of hearing the same things, really, I got it wrong because of this. And that's not what people want to hear, do they? It doesn't create exciting football. It's actually really strange because as an assistant, you've got to change the last 20 years of your lining life, really, because you have to then go from your instinct of that's offside, put the flag up, to you've got to delay. So it's actually like a really difficult skill to do in terms of, because now instead of saying offside, I'm saying delay, stop, keep the flag down, kind of sometimes want to get some stones in my hands so I don't put the flag up too quick. And I think it was a really steep learning curve, kind of trying to change what you've been doing for the last 20 years, but enjoyable still because it is something different. And I think it can only aid what we do. I never want to leave a ground thinking that I've cost that team 3 points. At the Women's World Cup, you don't want to be thinking I've knocked a team out of a competition because I've disallowed a goal for offside that isn't offside. We're all human, we make mistakes, as I said earlier, but for me, VAR has been brought in to stop that error. And for me, when I leave a ground, I don't want to be thinking I've cost that team. What we're thinking is, yeah, I've made a mistake, but actually it was corrected by a VAR. So, taking that kind of pressure off in terms of, you don't want to affect the result of a game. That's all we ever, as referees, we never want to affect the outcome of a game. And whenever I make a mistake, maybe I'm a little bit harsh on myself in terms of, I kind of think that I hope people don't think that I've made that mistake because I'm a woman. Maybe that's a bit of pressure that I put on myself, but we're human and we do make mistakes as referees, just like players do. I remember a player not so long ago, he said to me, are you going to smile today? I was like, no, I'm too concentrated. I need to focus on what I'm doing. He's like, yeah, but you can enjoy it. And I was like, I don't want to make a mistake. And he's like, everybody makes mistakes. And actually that really sat with me because I was like, yeah, you're right. Everybody does make mistakes, but I'll try to limit their mistakes, definitely. After my refereeing career, how do I get other referees through? How can I be somebody that supports the next generation of referees? And not just refereeing. For me, I've got a big part of my heart belongs to youth in sport. So for me, it's about creating that next generation of sportswomen in general as well. A big part of me from a PE teacher background, as well as being physically active and having a daughter, for me, it's about making sure that they have every opportunity that they need to be able to do any job in sport that they want. So for me, that's a big thing for my life after football, should I say.